now are just all very exciting. No matter what part of the Black diaspora you are coming from, there's a lot of things happening. So starting with you, Blake, and then from Enol to Basayo, what are some of the most exciting ways you're seeing technology, creativity, business advancing as we are entering this new generation of this creative renaissance coming out of the Black global diaspora?
Oh, AI. I know that's probably the assumed answer, but the most creative and I think innovative thing that we have in this day and age is artificial intelligence. You can build a $1 billion company with 1 or 2 people now. And to me, that is so powerful because you can connect, to me, 100 million people. It's untapped entrepreneurial opportunities that we can have where we're bringing and connecting everyone together. And so for me with AI, if anyone has heard of ChatGPT, how many people in the room have heard of ChatGPT? Okay, right. There's ChatGPT 5, there's Claude.ai, there's Gamma.app, there's Grok. If you go on one of those applications right now, you can build out an entire application. You can build out a business. You can build out a presentation for a fund. You can build out an entire business on those, using those apps, using that AI, and use it to create social networks, create media companies to tell your story, to share your experiences. And so for me, the biggest thing coming out of our generation right now that we can utilize is AI technology. And we do it every day. I can say even at my company, the CEO came to us one day and he said, I want everybody to build a trading app. And I was like, well, we're legal, so I don't have time to figure out how to create a trading app. And he's like, no, you need to figure it out. And we did. The entire legal team each created their own trading app. And what that means is we were able to create a bot that went in our wallets and traded for us and made money for us. And we each created our own individual ones. And to me, what that tells me is that we're living in an era where we can provide the resources and the network and the funding necessary to make sure that our voices are heard and make sure that we're connecting with each other. So to me, that's the most beautiful thing.
Wow, thank you for all of that, because I've definitely been hearing the words or the letters AI spread everywhere. And it seems like if you're not a part of it right now, you're going to be missing out on what the future has in store. So I mean, hey, that is definitely something that's happening right now in advancements of technology. Enol?
Yeah, speaking of AI, I'm gonna piggyback off of Blake and just keep the AI trend going. But just like seeing how like a lot of creatives are reducing the amount of time they're spending on like tedious like content creation methods. Like for instance, I don't know how many of people have watched Diary of a CEO, but the founder, he uses AI to like narrate his voice so that way he doesn't have to like constantly re-record every single like, clip. So he just use AI to just like do it for him. It's like text generated. But also just seeing the impact of AI in the healthcare space as well. We need that. There's this incredible tech startup called Availus Health. It utilizes AI to audit like medical claims to help like reduce the amount of billing errors that are in people's bills. Like that's extremely needed, especially in the United States where healthcare is very, very expensive. So that's been really exciting to see. And there's just so much more to be done. But yeah.
And then Basayo.
I know you really took what I was gonna go in on, content creation and then the use of like different media platforms. I think that is like something that I'm really excited about. I'm sure we've all heard of streaming and what streamers are doing. I think that's a different type of media outlet that I think is really gonna like blow up in the next few years. There's just a lot of platforms that I think that this generation is introducing to older generations that I feel like they're going to come on to. I think we started with Facebook and everyone has a Facebook, but like now I think a lot of people are going to really get like Twitches and Instagrams. There's going to be like a lot of other platforms that I'm really excited to like see become popular.
And something that's so exciting about the advancements of technology in general is how much we are now able to be connected with each other, no matter where we are in the globe. And I think that's what's also so exciting about just like technology today in the Black diaspora in this conversation, because we're trying to figure out ways we can all, get in touch with each other's cultures and recognize how we're more similar than we are different. And so for all of you guys and whoever wants to start, how can culture exchange, whether that be through music, through film, technology, fashion, how can that strengthen the diaspora connection wherever you are in the world? And how can we use those things to our advantage to become more connected with each other?
Yeah, I can jump in first. I feel like in a lot of spaces, whether it's tech or music or the arts, I think, Africans are in all these different spaces, but, typically we are working on the creating the innovations or the creations, all those different things, but we need to make sure we're at the forefront of a lot of these things that are being done and not just behind. I think there has been a lot of progression in this space already, but like, I think one of the good examples is the animated series Iwaju, which was created by Kugali, an African media company in collaboration with Disney. They had, Nigerian characters, they had like Nigerian names, accents, and all those different things. That representation is really, really powerful. That cultural exchange is really, really powerful as well. And the young generation get to see that too, which is really important, especially all over the world. They get to see like what Africa is made out of. So that's something I've been seeing, and I think that's been very influential.
Well, I was going to say for me, music and sports are two things that connect people in no matter the background, religion, the political views, anything. Music and sports really connect people. So for me, it's through, like, I know everyone here has heard of Burna Boy, right? Like some of our favorite, and what I'm so excited about, some of our favorite Afrobeat artists are finally, like, it's international, where it's like I've heard of some of the artists for years before it was on the international scene. And it's like now I feel like we're finally at a time and finally at a place because of social media, because of TikTok, because of streaming, that the cultural exchange is a lot bigger now. So for me, music is the connecting source of being able to connect with other people in a really deep way, because I feel like you're coming together, you're hearing the stories, you're hearing the experiences. And for me, that's always been important. That's how you tell stories. And that's been how we've been telling stories since our ancestors, is through song. And so for me, music is so incredibly powerful. And I feel like that's one of the biggest cultural exchanges we can have, as far as just sharing our stories, making sure our voices are always heard. And now with all the platforms, you can't be silenced. You can still hop on your TikTok, your Instagram, your Apple Music, and you can share whatever that experience is. And to me, that's the place where we need to be, to make sure that we do stay connected and that we don't forget where we came from, and we don't forget all the hard work that it took to get to where we are today.
I 1000% agree. And Busayo, I kind of want to now turn the question to you, because we're talking about stories, right? We're talking about sharing our stories, sharing our background. And the beautiful gift about being creators, and I know there are probably many of creators in the audience right now, we have the opportunity to tell the stories how we want to be able to tell them. And as somebody who is, over a creative agency, I wanted to ask you if there's anything that you've realized in your work about storytelling, and how do you craft your own stories throughout whatever it may be that you're putting out into the world, and how do you recommend for people who might be interested in telling their story too, whether it be through TikTok or they also want to start an agency or whatever their creative form is, how would you recommend for them to tell their story and share it as well?
Well, you need to understand that your perspective is super important, and representation is everything. And sometimes when you feel like you're not represented, that's like quite literally your opportunity to start something that is gonna like ripple forever. For me growing up, background context, well, I think we can all relate. When it comes to the creative fields, we might not necessarily feel like it's for us, because we're raised to think, we are going to be doctors and we're going to be lawyers and stuff like that. But I know that if I was introduced to the idea that I could be a creative director at the age of 5, and I could pick up a camera at the age of 10, or whatever creative tool it was, if I was introduced to that way younger, then and I understood that I could make as much money or way more money, I would have done that. I think that now in my age, because I wasn't as I wasn't, it wasn't something that I thought was a possibility. I'm like overly like excited to create stories. I'm overly excited to produce content. I'm overly excited to close gaps that I see in any creative field. I basically do a lot of things, so it's like I can't even pinpoint one exact thing. But for me, when it comes to storytelling or creating ideas, you should just think about what are the things that I enjoy doing? What are the things that I don't see around me? And how can I be what I'm missing? How can I be the person that I needed when I was younger? Be the person that I know someone might need right now? And honestly, I think it's all about like community. It's all about understanding that it's not just me that has this, I'm not the only creative that doesn't feel like I can create in my element or whatever it might be. So I think just understanding that there's someone that will want to hear that, will want to see that, I feel like it'll kind of push you to push out your content and be more expressive with the things that you have to create. Because everyone needs, like your work needs to be seen. So you need to create, you need to take time to really just create the space that you want to see.
I truly love that. And I love what you mentioned a little bit about if you were younger and you were able to pick up a camera at 5. And that kind of brings me to my next point that I wanted to bring to you, Blake, and you as well, and it's about accessibility. Especially as we are advancing in times right now, accessibility, unfortunately, for Black and Brown communities has not always been the same for other communities. And so it kind of makes it harder for us to catch up with the advancements as they are happening. For example, AI, like a lot of communities don't have the same access to the newly improved AI technologies that other communities might have, which then in turn make us late to the game in terms of how we understand it, how we utilize it, and how we use it to advance our own communities. And so accessibility, within your work, you, Blake, and Eno as well, how are you trying to make sure we close that gap that allows us to now be at the same stage and pace as everybody else and making sure we get those resources that we need?
Okay. You can go for it, Blake.
Okay. So I know the company that I work for, one of the things, we made that one of our initiatives. And it was important because we had access to all of this technology that we use through gaming and through our social media platforms. But we didn't have digital ecosystems that we were building out in countries. So last year we said, okay, what can we do about the accessibility issue? Because over 70% of our players for 3 of our games came from Nigeria. So it was like, well, there's a disconnect because there was some sort of accessibility, but it wasn't for the entire continent. So there's a disconnect. How can we fix that? And so we started meeting. I started flying around the world and just meeting with dignitaries and politicians and saying, okay, what can we do? What resources can we bring to you guys that would allow us to bridge that gap? And that's what we're doing. I can't say the countries now because we're under contract, but there are countries that we're going into in Africa right now, and we're building out their digital ecosystem. And the way that we're doing it is we're creating a game. That game teaches you about the country's economy. So whether or not it's a commodity that's exchanged, imported and exported, you learn about the import and export laws, you learn about the commodities, you learn about the economy in general. And we put it into a game because we want people to get excited. But we actually go in physically, set up centers, bring the equipment, bring the tech in. We teach them how to play. We teach the communities how to play the game. And what we do is we put a token in the game. And this is where blockchain comes in at. This token is actually money. So it's a token for the economy. So let's say it is Nigeria. It's a Nigerian token. And that token, you earn it as you play the game. And then you can exchange it for USDC or USD. And the reason we did that is because we needed to figure out a way not only to teach, but also to make sure that we're funding in other sources. So if we're coming in and providing the resources, how do we keep the economy going? Because once we leave, we don't want it to fail. So by implementing the token structure, we're able to allow these economies to build out across the entire country. So it's not just one group of people that are making money, it's everyone that's playing the game. And so that's one of the initiatives we've taken on. It goes live at the end of this year, so we're super excited. But to me, it's a call to action. Companies, schools, universities, it's about us going out there and putting in the work. If we have the resources, we should be sharing them. If we have the means to do it, we need to be sharing them. I think it's just a matter of us working as a team to make sure that the accessibility issue is addressed and we're actually taking action to fix it.
1000%. And I know, as a part of NAJACOM, you guys are really big on community. Would love to hear more about how you guys have been working to help close these gaps.
Absolutely. I love community. But being a bridge between the community and like the corporations or the community versus like the resources that they're trying to obtain. When I was working with Techstars, which if you don't know what Techstars is, it's an early stage investor. Their claim to fame was investing in Uber when they were super early, ClassPass for Remitly, a lot of big companies. But when you're working with investors and you're looking at their portfolio, a lot of them don't have too many founders that look like us. And in the venture capital space, like less than 1% of VC funding goes towards Black founders. That's a disgusting disparity. And so me being really passionate in communities, like how can I be a bridge when I'm in these rooms? How can I be their face? How can I be their voice? How can I make sure they feel seen and heard? And how can I funnel opportunities to these areas and communities we all come from? And so that is like sharing, like, okay, these are some founders I found online, or these are some founders I sourced from this organization. Here's some founders that work with Black Girls Code. Like these are the founders we should be talking to. These are the founders y'all should invest in. So being that bridge and providing that funnel for them, because it's like, yes, there's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of things you have to teach people as well. But for me, like when you're big on community and the things that I do, like I'll make the time. Like we will make the time, we'll make the space. Like I want like our people and a lot of other diverse communities to be in these rooms and to get the same opportunities. It's really, really important. So being the bridge is pivotal for us.
I love both of, I mean, everyone's answer today has been so vital, and just how do we become that bridge? And talking about bridges and talking about closing these gaps, I know I mentioned earlier in my opening statement about diaspora wars and how it seems like we're putting ourselves against each other when the system is already set up to do that. And what we should be doing is figuring out how can we unite as one, no matter where we are coming from in the world, whether it be the States or Europe or South America, Africa. The Black diaspora is a diaspora that should be strong, united, and built on true community. And so what do you guys think is often the disconnect between the diaspora, and how can we, in your viewpoint, bridge that gap and become one, especially in these times? I'll pass it to you, Busayo.
Okay. I think firstly, my experience with this is really real because I'm first gen. All of my immediate family is in America, but all of my extended family is in Nigeria. So I go to Nigeria like in July or December, and I see my cousins that live in Nigeria, and they make it very aware and clear to me that, we are different. And there are things that they say that I don't like, as far as why we are the way that we are. And there's things that I say that they don't like as to why they are the way that they are. And I think it comes with accessibility. It's all about like what we have access to and who we have access to. If you are a Nigerian, I'll speak for myself. If you are a Nigerian living in America, you have access to American resources. You have access to different opportunities when it comes to education, when it comes to even being able to do full-time creative work, versus someone that is in Nigeria who might feel like, they're trying to survive. So, and it's crazy because a lot of my cousins, a lot of people I come in contact with want to be creative. They want to do these things full time, but they feel like it's the access to the resources. And then there's people, then they also feel like, we are not taking advantage of the resources that we have. So it's just like, it's like a debate that can continuously go on. I didn't want to get this question first because I'm like, oh my God, I could talk about this literally all day. But yeah, I just feel like everything is like accessibility. And then like, people might not feel like we're taking advantage of it in the best way. And it's just like everyone's experience is completely different. I think that when you can be a resource to other people, like I always try to be a resource to my family, my friends in Nigeria, you should, and they should do so as well, because, they have the authentic, they have the real life, and it's just another beautiful, thing. So I think that it's all about, us in the native land, in the diasporas, wherever we are across the world, understanding that like we can pour into each other and we can like find a middle ground for us all to be happy. It's going to take time because I think it also has to do with like the level of technology, access, money that everyone is able to work with. But I definitely feel like, it all stems from accessibility. It's all possible. I don't have the key solution, but I know that it starts with, people just kind of being open to, tapping into every single diaspora, every single native land, and giving back in that way.
1000% agree. Eno?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in as well. I was laughing earlier because this is such an ongoing thing, and so I agree with Busai. It's it's one of those things where it's just it's never ending. I'm also a first gen. I also go to Nigeria every year. Majority of my family are in Nigeria, dual citizen as well. I think it's before NajaCom was where it is today, we started off with virtual collaborations. And that was one of the inspirations for why I created NajaCom, because I didn't see enough representation of Nigerians who are in these creative sectors. And so I wanted to reach out to people globally and connect with my community globally and kind of pull us together. And I think a lot of people operate in their silos, people in the diaspora, but also people in the native land as well. And it's just sometimes you can do collaborations virtually. There's ways that we can tap into each other's resources virtually. And I think a lot of people don't really think about those types of things. It's always okay, it has to be in person. Oh, we have to have a lot of money to do this collaboration, that collaboration. But you'll be surprised at how far you can go when you work together and combine your resources and get kind of scrappy but creative. You will be surprised at how many things you can create that are more worthwhile. I've been to events and I've been a part of initiatives that were really, really brilliant, and some of them had less than $100 in budget versus there's some campaigns that had millions and millions of dollars. It's what you make of it. You create your own path, and we can do that together.
And then Blake.
Oh, I love that. I would say for me personally, I had a bit different experience as the two of you, because I was raised in Arizona, and when growing up, I didn't have the connection with going to our native land early on. But I was in church a lot, and one of my covering pastor, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, is Papa Idahosa. He was a pastor in Nigeria, and he was our covering pastor for my church. He passed away when I was around 9 years old, but he would come preach several times a year at my church, and his entire message was always a united Africa, us coming together, no matter if you're on the native land or not, is we are all one, and how do we move together as a family, as a community, and not seeing, regardless if you're in the native land or regardless if you're part of the diaspora, the fact that we're still one. And I just remember him always saying, we have to get rid of the preconceived notion that one is better or one is less than the other. And that if we just move as a unit and we just believe in, hey, we might have strengths and you might have strengths, and let's figure out how we can bring those together. My weaknesses can be your strengths, your weaknesses can be my strengths. And how do we make sure that we're not threatened by each other and not feel less adequate than the other because there's certain resources or there's certain experiences. There's certain experiences that I could never have gotten in the US that I've gotten in Africa. It's just a fact. And vice versa, there are certain resources that we have in America that we could have never gotten in our native land. And so how do we just take advantage of and say, hey, to both of your points is, let's connect. We live in such a digital world. And that's what we do today, is we do connect, but we just need to get better at kind of letting go of those preconceived notions. I really do think it starts inward. And I think that it should be something that the younger generation takes on. I think the younger generation just let's all step up, let's all come together and say, any preconceived notions that were set early on, let's attack them, let's be the example that we can all live as a united front. But I do think there needs to be almost a movement of, hey, we're still the same.
And I feel like everything you all said really just brings it home, is that we are all the same. And just because you might have something that I don't have and I have something you don't have does not make anyone better than the other, which is why conversations like this is so important, because we don't often see everybody. As we all mentioned, we all have such different backgrounds, and there's so many more people on the Zoom, wherever they may be tapping in. We are all different, but we're all kind of living similar lives, just in different fonts. I love to say that in the Black diaspora, we're all saying the same thing, just in different fonts. Someone's saying it in Times New Roman, someone's saying it in Calibri, whatever font you're saying it in. It looks different, but the story that's being typed is still the same. And so my background, just growing up as a Nigerian American, but I went to a Baptist church, or I go to a Baptist church. I love that church. That's where I grew up. Gospel is a very foundation of my life. I'm just so honored to be able to celebrate both of the cultures that I grew up in. But it's important that we realize that everybody has unique backgrounds and that we should all be coming together versus trying to find ways to separate ourselves. And so we kind of talked about technology and how technology is such a great way to bridge the gap. And I want to close this panel off by just talking about this app that's coming out called Doodoo Plugs. So throughout this festival, you'll be hearing about this app a lot. Doodoo Plugs is a very innovative app that's coming out very shortly to kind of bring together the diaspora in the way that we're talking about through technology. It is a way where you can figure out what is happening in the arts, whether that be culture, heritage, food, fashion. We're having a fashion show later today also too, so like tap into that. But we have so many things coming on this app, literature, that will allow you to see what is actually happening within the diaspora, and they'll all be tapped into one place, which is on your phone in this app. This app to me is just such an innovative way for us to really stay connected. And so for all of you guys, why is an app like this necessary, not just in Africa, but in the movement of the Black diaspora coming together as a whole? Why do you see something like an app where you can just go on your phone and see what's happening in Nigeria, what's happening in Somalia, like what's happening wherever? How is that important to us right now as a people? Blake, you can start.
I was going to say, for us, by us. I mean, it's for us. It's to connect us specifically. I love it because right now you can still use Facebook, you can still use Instagram and TikTok, but this app is created specifically to bring us together. And to me, there's nothing more important than that. And it's so targeted. So for me, that's the number one, is the connectivity is so specific.
I'll pass it to Enna.
Yeah, learning is like fundamental. You don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And there's so many things everyone has to learn, whether you are like in the native land, you're in the diaspora, or you're an ally. Like there's so many things you can learn from Doodoo Plugs. And also it's really helpful for the next generation, like preserving our culture and keeping it going. So just like what Blake was saying, connectivity, but also like accessibility as well. Like you don't have to, you know, be in certain places to access it. Like it's globally you can access it. That's really, really important. So I think that's something everyone should tap into.
We spend so much time on applications and, you know, you consume content. Imagine if you're consuming content, you're seeing so many people do these cool things around the world, and it creates the ripple effect. And now you're like, I need to create, I need to be doing these things as well. I think only going to grow the creative community. It's only going to make people understand that, oh, they're doing this in Africa with these resources. We can do it bigger in another country. We can do it bigger over here. So I just think, if anything, it's just going to create like stronger goals for everyone that's tapped in across the diaspora. I'm really excited for it.
I'm excited for it as well. So we are now going to open the room for any questions, the Zoom chat for any questions. If anybody has anything that they want to ask, anything they want to learn more about. And if not, we can also just get into some of the things that are coming from everybody as an individual on the stage. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, Blake, Enna, Busayo, what are some things we can see coming out from your work in the future? Starting with you, Blake.
Well, the one I'm most excited about is the digital ecosystem. So those are the ones that we are launching in a few of the African nations. So those will be coming. That's the number one thing that I'm excited about. And in general, just we're doing more in the tech space as far as on social media platforms. So we're currently building out an AI social media platform that we're really excited about. So those are the two major things that are coming.
Amazing. Enna?
Yes, yes. So for NijaCon, we have some new clients, and that's been really, really, you know, exciting for me because I just love like onboarding new clients, new partners. So right now we're working with Black Girls Code, teaching young Black girls how to code, helping with their marketing initiatives. Powerful, powerful mission. We're also working with Nimbus Aerospace. They are a Black-owned aerospace company helping to redefine private air travel. They are investor-backed as well. So like hopefully everyone checks them out because, you know, that's another conversation people don't talk about enough. What does Black ownership look like in the aerospace community? And then also like more collaborations in regards to like events and connecting with our community in person as well as digital. So that's super exciting.
Hey, so No, but yes, we are a creative community. We're always going to be supporting creatives in their different areas. Right now, we are working towards, with our nonprofit arm, which is called Fuels, we're working towards creating an after school program for children. I kind of foreshadowed this a little bit, that are interested in learning photography. We're going to bring in some professionals and teach them how to use cameras, workshops, and honestly create that vision at a young age so that it can, create that ripple effect and, really grow the community. So all things creative, we're constantly trying to put to the forefront, especially Black creatives that don't normally have autonomy over their work. And then also our panel discussions, we have an event series called As Told by NFG, where we invite creatives from wherever to just sit and talk about how it is they got to where they got and how they continue being creatives in whatever climate it is that we are in, whether it's in America or Nigeria. So continuously excited for that.
I love all this. We actually did get a question in the chat. And so I think this question can be answered by anybody. Actually, I think everyone should answer this question. And is, how do you ladies combat imposter syndrome, especially as a woman who are a part of a community that is often overlooked and underconsidered for opportunities and resources, as you've all mentioned? I will start with Blake.
Okay. So I definitely have an imposter syndrome when I first started, because I was the youngest person in the room. I was the only woman in the room, and I was the only person of color in the room. And so a lot of my counterparts were white males, older white males. And I started in sports, so I was used to being the only woman in the room, but especially going into the tech space, I felt like I was going into an executive role. There's not many people of color, especially in the US, that are on like the C-suite level. So I was like, who do I reach out to for mentorship to get over this hump of like, do I even belong here? And it was my mother, my sister. It was community, honestly. It was them letting me know that I have the knowledge, I have the experience. Like, I had to work 10 times harder to get in the position that I was in, so I absolutely deserved to be in that position. But it was a matter of just having a strong support system, a strong community, and then knowing that a lot of times you're the smartest person in the room, and being confident with that, and always going. I know people are like, I don't like working 10 times harder, but if you work 10 times harder, a lot of times you're usually 10 steps ahead. And so for me, it was just a matter of doing the research, digging in, learning what I needed to learn, and going above and beyond. And I work constantly. So like my day, I work every single day. I work throughout the day. And I just had a 7-month-old. I don't know if you guys heard him. I just had a baby earlier this year. I have not even taken a day off, because one of the things it does require is you do have to know that at any point, because of who we are as women, and especially as Black women, that there's always someone coming for your position. So sometimes it does require you to put in hours and time that you don't always necessarily have the privilege of taking time off and kind of focusing on yourself, especially at the beginning of your career. So imposter syndrome, confidence, you still work 10 times harder, have that strong support system, and then at the end of the day, just know that you absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, belong there.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Blake was saying. Like, you belong there, you deserve to be in that room. I'm one of those people, like, growing up, like, I had the realization that like nothing happens by accident. You are exactly where you need to be with those people at this time on this day. It wasn't an accident that you were in the room. It's not an accident that you're in this room today, right? Sitting next to an innovator, a game changer. So take advantage of that, right? Soak that in. You are not the imposter. So just like live in your skin, and also just remember that, like, when you do work hard, you reap what you sow. Like, at some point, things will come back to you. And just like what Blake was saying, sometimes it could feel a little isolating being the other or the only or the first, and it's a heavy weight to carry. But at the end of the day, like, you are one of the strongest soldiers out here. Like, you'll figure it out. You'll get past it. What's meant to be for you will be for you. No one can take that away from you.
I 100% agree with Blake and Eno. Adiel, I'm sure you can agree with me when I say I went to a university that forced me to, the whole idea of imposter syndrome forced me to forget it. Everyone that I was surrounded by was amazing. And if I'm surrounded by amazing people, it's because I'm amazing. And I think that you need to continuously put yourself in rooms that reflect yourself. You, if you feel like you want to be surrounded by CEOs, by people that make a lot of money, people that are creatives, then you need to constantly, put yourself in those situations. You should never stop learning. I think that I consider myself as a student, no matter where I am, I can learn something from anyone at any point. So I think that it's just all about being open to growth and being open to learning no matter where you are. You're not an imposter because you're supposed to be where you are. It might be hard, especially when people don't always look like you, especially when you are a woman, you're a double minority, you are Black as well. But we're doing really cool things. I think that the Black woman is top tier. So yeah, you're not an imposter. You're 100% where you are supposed to be. Remember that no matter what.
And to everyone's point, just kind of to wrap it up, it's just like, why else would I give that to anybody else to do? Like, if it was placed on my heart, it was placed on my heart for a reason, because I was meant to be the person to execute it. And so I think whenever you think about, oh, like, I don't know if I'm qualified enough. Well, if you weren't qualified, you probably wouldn't have been called to do it. But because you were called, therefore you now are qualified. And so I just think whenever you put away your doubts, you put away any of the negative thoughts that are coming into your head and allow your aspirations and ambitions to be the things that speak the loudest in your mind, allow that to be what brings you forward into whatever it is that you want to be. You are not the imposter. I think that's like the through line is you're not the imposter. So if you're feeling like you're the imposter, let's just get that idea out your head now, because that's just not the case. And so I just want to say thank you so much to Blake and Busayo for joining us today on this Next Gen panel. There's just so much coming out. Yes, please, round of applause. There's so much coming out from all of these three ladies, from the continent Africa, from the Black diaspora as a whole. And please stay tuned with everything that's coming out through this festival. It's a 3-day festival. Today was the launch and the kickoff day. So we have a fashion show later today. We will be having more events tomorrow and on Sunday. And please, wherever you can find, where can we find you at? Starting with Blake, where can they find you and follow you through your journey?
So I am on Instagram at Blake Mercedes, and I am on LinkedIn as Blake Walker Richardson. I do have a TikTok, but I just scroll, so I don't.
Enna?
Yeah, so for LinkedIn, it's like my first name, last name. So it's ENO space ODUOK. That's pretty long, but Instagram it's ENO.XO, and then Nijacom, exactly how you hear it.
My Instagram is my middle name, which is Bosinuade, BOSINUADE on Instagram. My creative agency is No Free Gas on Instagram. And yes, let's leave it at that. Those are the two most, and my email. I put my email now because I'm always on my email, which is Busayomi, BUSAYOMI @nofreegas.world.
We actually have some more questions in the chat, and I just want to make sure we give just one more opportunity to answer them before we officially close this. Let me see. Ooh, okay. I love this question, and this will be our last question for the evening. It's, could you all three give advice for parents who have creative kids but are functioning on the mindset of pursuing a traditional job? Also, what advice would you give creatives who may have parents or a community that isn't supportive of them at first? I truly love this question. It feels very honest and raw, so I'm going to pass Busayo over your clock. I'm going to pass it over to Enna first, Busayo next, and then Blake last.
Yeah, I feel like for misconceptions, I'll make it quick. For misconceptions, we are beyond just like agriculture, oil and gas. Like those are really, really important. But on the diaspora and in the continent, we are all the things. Like we're creatives, we're technologists, we're engineers, we're doctors, we're everything. And so I just want to clear that up. Like, we are more than just the status quo. Like we are all these different things. We're not monolithic at all. And advice I would give to your creative kids on the mindset of pursuing a traditional job. I feel like I was that kid. encourage them to create, like find their own path. Like don't be that parent who's just like, oh, you have to be this, you have to be that. Like inspire them and then put them in spaces where they can be inspired. Also, programs are really, really important. Like you can put kids in creative programs, you can put them in those types of things, like place them in those situations so they learn and then they can figure out what they can adapt to and what's really important for them, but just don't force them. And then number three, what song foreshadows your vibes for quarter 4? I have like an old school soul, so I love me some Just Fine by Mary J. Blige. Like I'm fine. Everything's fine. But yeah.
Okay. So this parent, you're amazing. And I love it because if my parent was asking this for me when I was younger, this has just been amazing. So you're already doing the perfect thing. Number one, your child is a reflection of you. So if they're creative, then they're getting that from you. So, even though you think traditional job, it's okay. Your child is quite literally tapping into something that you've exposed them to, which is great. I agree with Eno. Find programs, creative programs, throw them in after school, anything that they can just really immerse themselves in and try to continuously do. I think that's like the perfect start. And then also creative directors, photographers, designers, stylists are making millions of dollars. So don't necessarily feel like, oh, it's a money thing. The money is there. And as we know, AI technology is advancing so much. And it's kind of like, we don't know what jobs right now are they're projecting to be the most money-making jobs or whatever it might be. They're going to continuously change. If you're stuck in the traditional mindset, you're going to get left behind with the lower, you know what I'm saying? So essentially, I think you're doing great. Literally just try to figure something out specific for your child, whatever it might be that's creative, to give a boost so that they know for sure that this is what I want to do, even over a traditional job. Continuously encourage them to be open-minded to anything, and that's great. And then song that foreshadows the fourth quarter of 2025. It's crazy that we're in the fourth quarter. Oh my God.
You could just steal my answer, to be honest.
Yeah, I have so many.
We're all fine.
Let me say Happy by Pharrell. Very calm vibes. Okay.
And then Blake.
Yes. I second everything you both said. I mean, there's not even much to add to that because very much so kudos to the parents. I would say maybe strike a balance, because I know a lot of times parents are usually concerned, like, how are they going to make a living? And there is so much money, even in influencing. When I was working at a firm, influencers were bringing in double or triple the amount of traditional artists and athletes. We had influencers that were getting $4 to $5 million per post, and they were on TikTok. And so be open to these creative roles because they can absolutely pay off. And I know a lot of times the concern is, will they be able to financially support themselves? Will they be okay when I'm no longer here? Is usually always what I hear from parents. And so I would also say to strike a balance is still teach the life skills. Encourage the creative, let them know that they are absolutely brilliant and can do whatever they put their mind to, but at the same time, teach them about credit, teach them about balancing a page, a checkbook. I don't know if people do that anymore, but teach them about bank accounts and about savings and budgeting. Still teach the life skills, teach business skills, but then very much so encourage them to be their most creative selves as well.
And I just really want to touch on this question because I think that I have some amazing parents who have really poured into me. So outside of being a moderator and also working at Amazon Studios as a creative marketing manager, I'm also a creative director and I also direct. And I have parents who really allowed me to dream. And I think allowing your kids to dream is the best gift you can give your kids, because it really afforded me the opportunity to see how big my dreams can actually become and how I can bring them into reality. Even as Busayo mentioned, like I went to Howard University, and each playground that I had from growing up as a kid to now going into the church and then going into ACI Market with my parents' shop, and then, going to school and all these places that I was able to take my feet, I was also allowed to dream and figure out how big can I make these ideas in my head become. And so by having parents who allow you and pour into you in each of those instances, it's just a beautiful gift. Like there's no other gift like it. And so I just say, allow your kids to dream, because you don't know where that dream can take you. I know Kai Sanat is one of my examples where I'm like, he is huge. And I know his mother probably did not expect him putting up a camera in his bedroom and yelling would get him to where he is now, bringing in millions and millions and millions of dollars, getting brand deals, launching his own lines. Like, I know she probably didn't expect that, but now she's probably grateful that he did that. And so allow for the opportunity for your kids to dream and do something unexpected, because you never know where it's going to go. And so that is all for our panel today. Thank you all so much. If you have any more questions, please feel free to message us, connect with us, and we will see you throughout the festival. Thank you all so much.